All right, it is Monday. I want to say happy Monday, but not for Saints fans. Dennis Allen out as the head coach. Who's taken over? What does it mean? Trade deadlines here. What do they do? If you're Cam Jordan, what are you thinking about all of this? Now, we are officially halfway through the NFL season. We have a couple coach firings. We got a couple teams still in it. 5 touchdowns later. Lamar Jackson, is he running away with the MVP? Is anybody taking out the Lions in the NFC, or is it theirs and everybody else's, go to the spoils? Or let's talk a little bit about the Eagles and Saquon. Of course, everybody's chewing on that. Luke Kuechly will be incredible on that. Can't wait to have him on the show breaking down what's going on with the situation in Dallas. We got some midseason picks all on the way. I love the Saints. It was my last stop on my training camp tour. I sat with Dennis Allen. I was juiced about Dennis Allen with the play calling, and we saw it the first couple weeks of the season, and I took victory laps on how incredible New Orleans was going to look and how they are the beautiful home of the Super Bowl, best Super Bowl city. And that I still believe, but it has been dismal for these Saints, and I don't know what they have to hang their hat on. They're just going to sell off pieces, a total rebuild. What does it mean for veterans? And now we're sitting here, New Orleans losing 7 straight after that hot start, hotter than anybody in the NFL. Hate hot starts, as we all know, not great, but it was enough for Mrs. B to say, we're pulling the cord here. This is not the standard that we have set here. Something has to change. Now, who's taken over? Assistant head coach, special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi. He'll be the interim guy. We'll see what kind of spark that leads to. Does it matter if they have a spark? I don't know. Saints fans, you are so mad. They're mad at me, Saints fans, for saying, believe in Derek Carr. They're mad at the world. They're mad at everybody at large. Are you mad about the change? Did it need to happen? How you feeling? Let me know at Up and Adam Show. Man. This is a team that I've always championed, and I hate when they make it hard to do so. I think not supporting your quarterback, no matter who it is, by the way, Spencer hasn't looked incredible in spots either. But the wheels have fallen off. What do you wrap your head around? What do you hang your hat on with this squad, right? It looked by all indications, what a weird thing with Cam Jordan sort of like running away or walking not to the locker room, and then follows Derek Carr, and then AK comes out and everyone's like, what's going on? Like, did it feel like the locker room was ready for a shakeup? Yeah, we saw all the reaction from players alike. When, let's not get into former players and what they had to say, but I'm not going to make excuses for what's going on, but the injuries are a big deal here. You look at Dennis Allen, he lost the starting quarterback for 3 weeks. He didn't have his top 4 receivers. 3 of his top 4 corners were out. Half the offensive line is banged up. This is a tough spot for anyone. At the same time, the coaches that have staying power, the ones that sort of cement themselves, they navigate those situations. They are able to do it in spots like the end of the game and the decision-making that happened thereafter. Now what, right? That's the question. It's what can I get excited about? Trade deadline is tomorrow, people. Weird week. They got some tenured pieces. They've got some pricey, expensive pieces on the roster that, contenders are like, all right, let's go. They just got rid of their coach. They're making calls. They're saying what's going on. And this is a team that always does a really good job of moving the decimal point, right? Ricky's great at hiding money under the mattress. But the truth is, the plain of it is, they're projected to be $61 million over the cap next week while they're trying to rebuild. There's not a team that is trying to contend. You have Lattimore. His name's being brought up a ton. But I got to think, like, with Mickey Loomis, is anyone off limits? You're going to have to keep stripping it down, and you got to stockpile draft picks, and you really got to hit it out the park, Freddie Freeman style, with these draft picks to make this a competitive team in that division, to make it an incredibly attractive place, Matthew Hamilton, if you can join me, for a next head coach candidate. Who's going to want to take this over? Who's going to want to be a part of building a culture in this team? Are you surprised he got fired this morning?
I'm not, given the things that we were kind of seeing and hearing from some of the players after that game. It seemed like everybody was kind of ready for some type of a big change. And I think it's a move they had to make. I do feel for him because, as you said, a lot of injuries, a lot of other stuff that is really hard to navigate. But I think it was time. Sometimes it's just not working, and you need to switch things up.
I think of the fans. I was texting you yesterday.
Yeah.
I was getting it from fans yesterday. Like, really. Are we talking about that later in the show or no? Is that somewhere else?
We're going to get into it with Luke.
Oh, but that's not fair. It's like an interview. Let me talk about this really quick. I was getting into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting into it with fans. I didn't respond to anything. But I had said in training camp after I talked to Derek Carr, and I bolstered his numbers and said he's a finisher, he's a comeback guy. I just didn't like the negativity from the Saints fans towards their quarterback, because I just don't think it's helpful from any fan base to any quarterback to not just rally around your guy, whoever it might be. When it's Rattler, rally for Rattler. It doesn't help anything to drag your quarterback. Now, obviously, it was bookmarked by 90% of Saints fans being like, oh, really? You came after us for being critical or hating our guy? And I was getting killed on Twitter yesterday, just killed.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, it's not like Rattler went in there and looked great, who they all wanted over Derek Carr either.
It doesn't help anything.
Again, it doesn't help anything to be negative towards your quarterback or rooting for him to fail, which it seemed like it got to that point. And again, I understand the frustration because we kind of know what Derek Carr is. If you make the situation perfect, he'll execute it. And that's what we saw the first 2 weks. But then when you lose two offensive linemen and the receivers start getting hurt, then it all starts to crumble and the cracks start to show in his game. And I think that's what is a fair frustration from these Saints fans.
Well, they were saying you're putting our wide receiver. It started because he was putting the wide receivers in harm's way to Saints fans, like you're trying to get my wide receiver killed, kind of stuff was like all over Twitter. I'm very in tune with what's going on, but I'm not going to apologize for saying you should rally around your quarterback when things are down. But I'm going to say things are really bad. The thing that I thought about most when this news hit this morning and the game, every time they have, and there's seven straight losses, I just think, and Kamara just signed an extension, so he's there, but I'm thinking about Cam Jordan. And I'm sad for him. I want it for him. When I interviewed him, or talked to him in the off season, you try to get up for him and say like, oh, they could win. This is not a team that's going to bring him a Super Bowl. He's got to get out of there if he wants a Super Bowl. I wonder how he's feeling. We saw how he was looking leaving the field yesterday. But trade deadline tomorrow, is he open to leaving? Would Saints fans be like, Saints fans, are you just like, absolutely not, this is our guy? Does he want to stay there through this? Does part of a Saints fan base that so like loves him so much, don't you want to go see him, go to a I don't know what the energy is. I'd like to know from Saints fans, would you be okay with him leaving? If you're Cam, are you dug in and there's no world where you'd entertain being with another team? Is he a sellable piece?
He is. I mean, especially, he's shown the versatility. He can move inside now. As a rotational guy, he can help out a team that needs some depth up front. Like a Bengals, for example, and that does need depth on the defensive line.
Hey,
you do wonder how much it is up to him, because he does seem. I mean, all his tweets are just so pro New Orleans and wanting to get it fixed there. But you're right, the clock is ticking, and if he does want to win a ring, it is going to have to be somewhere else with the situation there. It's going to take a few years to turn this thing around with the cap situation.
I don't think he has a few years. I wonder if there's like a conversation going on, or are any sides even open to it? He's got we were there in the summer, and his relationship with ownership, he is that team. He is the face of that team.
Yeah.
For him to go, but it's one of those similar Myles Garrett sort of conversations of like, these are, beyond being a Saint, these are the players that you want to see get a ring. You want to see it work out, and there's no, of course, guarantee that'll happen on any other squad, but to put him in that position, because this Saints team is in full breakdown, burn it down, and regrow, rebuild, and do that mode right now. Really, really tough. We'll get into New Orleans more with Luke Kuechly. Thanks, Ham. But we also had, it was a weird, it wasn't, last week was so fun. This is a weird Sunday. I didn't love it. Every game had something happen that was a head scratcher that we've never seen before, sort of wild. Colts Vikings, Sam Darnold, they overcame 3 turnovers 2 missed field goals, and they picked up their first win since October 6th in London, and that was a big one for London, right? Not just because they avoided a 3-game losing streak. Oh, Hammy, I can hear you. Your mic's up. But because they also kind of flipped the script on what was sort of a iffy pattern that was developing offensively prior to last night, guys. The Vikings, hot starts, they were happening, but they had one second-half touchdown over their last 4 games combined. In this game last night, bright lights, home crowd, Darnold came out of halftime on fire, tossed 3 touchdown passes, 3 incompletions over the final 30 minutes. So there were questions like, oh, about his play, whatever. He said, shut up, everybody. And here is what his coach said after the performance.
This guy can throw the football. And love every aspect of what he's doing within our offense right now. And I'm sure Sam will be hard on himself about those 2 interceptions, but I'm going to stay aggressive with him because I do think my confidence in him, which is genuine, it's real, it is, like I said, a winning edge for us moving forward.
It's a coach I'd like to play for. I'd like to play for Kevin O'Connell. Incredible, and I love hearing that. Like you got to give him the confidence. You got to let Sam let it rip, and that's how they can make something special happen. The defense, they can pick up after Sam's mistakes. Okay, they were amazing last night. If you sort of let Sam, let him play free, use these incredible playmakers that give him the confidence, that's what'll put you ahead in the North. They are second place right now. They're a game back of Detroit. They are getting long odds, guys, at plus 360 to take the division over at FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll get into some hunches later on, but they got the 4th best odds to win the whole thing at plus 850. Can they win the NFC? Do you have the faith? They're ahead of Green Bay, okay. Atlanta. They're ahead of Washington. Ooh, I don't know who I trust more. I like Washington a lot. Those are the reports. A lot of players want to be traded to Washington. How things can change in just a matter of months. Okay, let's dig into the NFC North, shall we? Let's see what happened at Lambeau. Lions. This is the game of the week, right? They were absolutely in control in the final 3 quarters to beat the Packers. They go to 7-1. They're firmly in control of the NFC North. Hey, Jared Goff, what is it like dealing with the elements in the first outdoor game Detroit has played this year?
Fun game. Whenever you get in these games, you know, they're kind of once a year you get ones like this. And in Green Bay, in Lambeau, we're supposed to be the dome team. We come in here, we're supposed to be the team that can't play outside, and we come in here and win.
Is that our MVP? Is that our MVP? Lions handled messy conditions better than the Packers. No turnovers, no snap issues. That guy right there, 82% completion percentage. And the ability to just play clean football, execute in key moments, despite the weather. Wasn't that the difference in this game? Not to be weather girl over here, but come on. The Packers doubled up the Lions in yards. You know, they committed big turnover on that Jordan Love pick 6 to Kirby Joseph. Kirby is such a stud, an absolute star. Man, twice as many penalties, a missed field goal, 3 fumbled snaps. That's what set them back in this one. Detroit may play in a dome, guys. Oof, but that style of football they play travels. Great run game, disciplined, game breaker on defense. I don't know. The defense consistently comes up with big plays. So the Lions, they can win anywhere. I don't know, how are they not going to lock up the 1 seed? Let's take a look here. They're significant favorites. Wow. To win the conference at plus 240. You got the Niners at plus 450. Interesting. Where are the Niners on there? I don't see the Niners on there. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, it's so crazy. Eagles at, let's see, plus 600. Hard to pick against them. Niners coming off a bye, so we'll see what they've got. They've got the Buccaneers to kick off week 10. Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We'll get to the Broncos. We're going to get to Luke Kuechly. We're going to get to that Saints news because he was there. Your team's the reason a coach lost their job. Take a look at that, Kuechly. I want to get into, let me see where I am in this. I know I said Jared Goff is that our MVP, but we got to get into Lamar Jackson. Scary. What he did to the Broncos. There were some questions about his health. He sat out 2 practices. Was he going to play? He's got the back and a knee that's terrible with the way he plays. Denver defense, by the way, crazy good. 3rd in the league in scoring, in total defense. Who cares? He's just insane. He's so incredible. Let's take a look at what I mean. He finishes this game. Perfect passer rating for the... Let's take a look. Yeah, 4th time in his career. That is an NFL record, by the way. 280 and 3 touchdowns. He ran just 3 little times on the day for 4 yards. 2nd fewest, by the way, ever in a start. That's what makes this so impressive. Harbaugh, Todd. They're trying to protect him by scaling back the designed runs, and we love that, and he clearly isn't 100%, but it didn't slow them down, and that's why he's so scary. The entire offense, they've evolved. They can do it all. You lose your legs, you can throw. There he is, there he is, there he is, there he is! Lamar Jackson's incredible. 3rd in the league in passing yards per game. 20 touchdown passes to just 2 picks, leading the league in passer rating and yards per attempt as well. So this is the best season he's had in his career. We've talked to Kuechly about this before. Is he getting even better? He's already got 2 MVPs. Have we seen him? Is he in his prime? This is absurd. We're at the halfway mark, so we can talk about this kind of stuff. Josh Allen still the MVP favorite for the 2nd week in a row on FanDuel Sportsbook. Kevin Durant told us it should be Derrick Henry. I don't know, because his quarterback sitting there at plus 320, that's, I mean, it's hard to not make that your vote. Followed by Mahomes, Goff, Jaden Daniels. That's a 3-way tie for 3rd at plus 700. So still an open race. I'll be excited to see what happens in the wintry mix months of the NFL season. But I mean, if Lamar keeps stacking games like this, you can't, based off of just precedent, you cannot deny him a 3rd MVP, which, Hamilton, that would be literally crazy and so fun. I'd love to see it.
It would be pretty awesome.
Does Derrick Henry work against him in the narrative world of voters?
Yeah, in the narrative world, it does a little bit, but the numbers are so outstanding that I think it overcomes like the narrative. Yeah, he has more help now with Derrick Henry because, yeah, the numbers are just ridiculous right now.
He's so good. How about the Bengals?
Yeah.
So neat. Welcome back to Up and Adams. Here he is, 5-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, future Hall of Famer, smartest dude in football, Kuechly. How we doing? We got to start with the big news this morning. Your team got a head coach fired.
We got a win. We got a win yesterday, and in the process, Dennis Allen's no longer there. So it was a exciting day in Bank of America Stadium. Bryce came in, got a win, got a lot of young guys involved, and hadn't heard Sweet Caroline playing Bank of America Stadium in a long time, so it was good to hear it.
It's amazing. You really have, I mean, for several games, you kind of got your chops under you and having to deal with adversity and tiptoe and tap dance when things aren't going your way and you're in the 4th quarter. But yesterday was really fun. The Saints completely, it was a close game, as we're seeing, of course, and as we saw. And I'm just curious, like not from like a culture, you lost the player sort of standpoint, as far as the plays being called, the decisions that were being made, what did you see that you think sort of led to this move on the Saints side to get rid of Dennis Allen?
I think you start so fast that when those first 2 games of the season, they're scoring 40 points, and then you lose 7 in a row. And kind of watching the game yesterday, there was a situation. I think it was 6 minutes left on the clock. They had the ball 4th and 1 at about midfield. They'd been running the ball well all game. And then they didn't go for it. I think that was one that we were very surprised about watching the game, just based on how the game was going, what they were doing, how we were playing offensively. We fully anticipated them to try to draw us off sides, call a timeout, and then try to go ahead and get it with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. They've been running it great, and that decision is something that, I looked at. I'm like, man, I think we might have caught a break there on the Panthers side.
Yep, and then after the game, of course, we saw Cam Jordan sort of walking away. Alvin Kamara followed him. That was weird. And while all this is going on, there was that hit to Olave, right? He was coming, big hit, coming across the middle. He leaves the game with a concussion, and then we have the chirping from Michael Thomas on Twitter. He's ripping into Derek Carr. He's like sub-tweeting Devontae Adams about his all-pro seasons. He's basically saying, dude's scary and panic, just throw the ball, get him the F out of here. He's so that, okay? They fired all them coaches trying to cover his flaws up. He's still doing the same blank. What did you make of that?
I think it's just probably frustration. I think, Mike Thomas to me is a guy that grew up with Drew Brees and used to having the ball right on his chest. And he's got so much loyalty, in my opinion, to the Saints. And I'm sure he's got a lot of buddies on the Saints, and to see them struggle and to see, I'm sure one of his friends and Chris Olave get hit with a ball that was a little bit high, I'm sure is very frustrating to him. But I think it was interesting listening to Derek Carr after the game talk about what went through his head on that play and talking about single high coverage. That's the ball where we want it thrown. And that's the unfortunate part about playing football, is sometimes those bang bang plays happen, and you just hope that Chris Olave's healthy and he's okay. And it was a scary situation. I know he's dealt with some concussion stuff this year and in his past a little bit, but I think a lot of it was just frustration, I'm sure, from Mike Thomas, from being with the Saints when they're having tons of success and not seeing where they are now. I'm sure he's just got some frustration.
So I don't know. I'm frustrated with Derek Carr. I don't know what to, I go after Saints fans and say, like, you have to support your quarterback. You guys are all trashing your quarterback. What's that helping? He's great. He starts the season super hot. We saw him 2016 MVP-ish season when he has an incredible offensive line. Like, I don't know what to make of him. Can you, in a couple of sentences, tell me and size up Derek Carr's identity? What is his brand as an NFL quarterback?
I think he's one of those. I think he's smart. I think he can make all the throws. I think, they're probably wanting just a little bit more from him. They struggled in the red zone yesterday. There was a couple throws got thrown that he threw outside of a guy. They threw him high. They couldn't convert in the red zone. The last play of the game, the incomplete pass down the sideline to Cedric Wilson, just didn't get that ball completed. And I think that's really where their frustration comes from is, yeah, in the middle of the game, the beginning of the game, everything is flowing, balls on time where it needs to be. But in the big moments in the game, are you able to step up and deliver the ball? They paid him, I think he's making $37 million a year. I think they fully expect him with, Shaheed and Olave and Kamara and that offensive line they had before the injuries to step up and make the throws in big moments.
So how much of it's on him?
I think some of it certainly is on him, but when you look at their offense going into the season, I mean, Ramchek's been out, Eric McCoy, the center's been out, Cesar Ruiz, a tackle's out, the left tackle is a rookie, Shaheed's out, Olave's out, Taysom Hill, a big part of what they do on the offensive side of the ball, he was out. Obviously, he played the last two games. It's just, that's the NFL, though, is guys banged up. You look at the Chiefs and what Mahomes has had to deal with, running backs out, Kelsey had a slow start. All their receivers have been banged up the whole year. They go trade for somebody. Now they're undefeated. I think some of it falls on Derek Carr, ultimately the quarterback. But at the end of the day, I mean, just they're so banged up everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. Top two corners are out. It's just there's a lot going on in New Orleans, and I don't think you necessarily can pin it on one guy.
Let's move on to the Cowboys. They lose a third straight game. If I were to pin it, a lot of people would pin it on maybe not their quarterback who left with a hamstring injury. They'd pin it on the owner, who CD has a shoulder-ish injury. Jerry somehow couldn't foresee these things coming into the season, free agency, the draft, and now he is saying he's the owner is saying he's all in on this season still, and they're sitting there at what, 3-5? I don't even know what they are. They've lost a third straight. Yeah, they're 3-5. He's saying things are in the mix for the Cowboys in the next 24 hours ahead of the trade deadline. What do they do at 3-5? Are we pro adding pieces?
I can't imagine that they would be adding anybody right now, but I think you always listen at the trade deadline. You never know what could pop up. You could get a steal and go grab somebody or get rid of somebody and pick up some picks. But to me, I think they got to worry about themselves right now in the sense of, I don't think you should trade for somebody. You don't know what's going on with Dak. You don't know what's going on with CD. Micah Parsons been out. Deron Bland's been out. DeMarcus Lawrence has been out. Brandon Cooks, he's been out. So I think when these teams go into the season and they look at what they think they're going to be, you always think, with our full slate of guys, we feel pretty good. And for me, with the Cowboys, they haven't been able to run the ball. They ran it okay yesterday, but I think what the storyline this year is, why didn't they go get Derrick Henry? I think that would have taken a lot of pressure off Dak Prescott in that offense. And I think this whole offseason, it's been a little bit of a struggle in the sense of, are you guys going to get Dak done? Is CD going to be around? What are you going to do with Micah Parsons? He's the next guy that's going to get paid. And then those guys don't show up, and then they start kind of rusty. They get the win against obviously Cleveland to start the year. But then guys start getting hurt, and new defensive coordinator. How much do they miss Dan Quinn? There's just a lot of other stuff kind of floating around, in my opinion. And adding one player to that team, I don't think necessarily changes them from 3-5 to winning the next 5.
I mean, their schedule sucks too. It's brutal. They should sell pieces. They should. You could get
rid of some guys. I mean, yeah, sell them, get rid of them.
Yeah, I would say Trayvon Diggs would be somebody that I would encourage them to give to a contender. So like they've got to. That's what I hope he means by. I don't know what all in means. I mean, you're not going to say we're not all in. So we're all in, but like I don't know. Like maybe they should get rid of Zeke. Maybe they should.
Well, Zeke, I mean, Zeke's hard to get rid of now, and they just suspended him. You never know. Somebody could give him something crazy for it, and you take it. So
I think Trayvon Diggs. I would hope that they're at least. I don't know what to make of it. I just know that their over/under for the season was 9.5, and that was we're banging the under on that. Okay, last week the Bears, they allow this. I don't even want to ask you about the Bears. Why did the Bears look so uninspired yesterday?
Oh my gosh!
What? I don't even know. I think I texted Chris. I don't even want to ask about the Bears, so I don't know how it weaseled itself into this rundown. But go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of nailed it. Last week, they think they win the game. They go on the road against a hot team, number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. They have the game in the bag. And then it would have been one thing if a Hail Mary gets completed. Like,
totally.
That's obviously a gut punch in itself. But then you have the whole Tyreek Stevenson situation. And then you got to answer those questions Sunday, Monday, to Wednesday when the media comes back in. That just wears on you. And then you show up for this game. And then, they're largely in the game up until halftime. They go down and they just need to get a stop, and they go into halftime and regroup and feel good. And then Arizona pops that long run at the end of the first half. That's got to be so frustrating. You look at the defensive call, they had pressure going right into the run, and they just don't touch him. They don't get him on the ground. And you go into halftime and you got to deal with that. It's like, it just happened again. Instead of it being at the end of the game, it happened at halftime. It's the emotional toll that stuff like this happens, I think is very real in the NFL and in sports. And I can't imagine how frustrating that is. Hey, we're on the road, we're down 5, we haven't played our cleanest half, but we're in the game. Then gut punch, go into half, and you're shell shocked and like, dang, like, is it happening again? So it's hard. And then Caleb Williams gets dinged at the end of the game.
Tell me about that. Like, I know, and everyone's like, everyone's spoken. Chris and Hamilton are like, the defensive play was worse than the Hail Mary. I get it. But to me, I'm with Charles Davis. At the end of the game, he's like, what is he doing in there? What is the decision making that is? And I kind of understand Coach being like, and he said it after the game. He said, Eberflus said, like, we're just getting in work. We need the reps. He's a rookie, whatever. But like, him getting dinged and limping off, that doesn't. As a Bears backer, I'm like, oh, what did you make of that?
You know what? Perfect world, yeah, we'd love them have him out of the game, but I think the competitor in a lot of these guys is like, man, I want to be out there, I want to play, I want to get better, I want to get snaps, and you don't ever want to get taken out of the game.
Well, it's not up to Caleb, though. It's up to the coach, right? Caleb's not getting burned for that this morning. He should want to be in there playing. It's coach's decision. Yeah. Coach's decisions leading up to that Hail Mary. Coach's decisions in this one. Like, that's coaching decisions in Chicago seem to be under the microscope. Do you think that's fair?
I think at the end of the game with the Hail Mary, I think a little bit. I think, they change. If they could do it over again, they try to get more pressure on Jaden Daniels. Yeah. But the result of that play, I don't think is necessarily always on the coaches. I think the players and the coaches share the ownership for that. They definitely talk about that situation at the end of the game and how important it is and what your job is. Sometimes you just get out executed, and then the end of the half there, they called a play,
Yeah.
a blitz right into the run game. That should be a no gain play. Tackle him for 5 yards, 10 yards at the most. And then, yeah, I mean, perfect world, you take Caleb Williams out, but I don't think you ever play the game of football saying, hey, what if we leave him in for another play, he's going to get hurt.
Okay,
So
I like Coach Eberflus. I've met him several times. I've talked to him a lot. We love DJ Moore. So let me tell you what just happened. He was visiting a radio show, I believe locally in Chicago. We have sort of he was asked, has Matt Eberflus lost this football team? This was being reported. I didn't hear it yet, but apparently he said, and he's, by the way, team captain, DJ Moore, right? We talked to him about Stevenson last week about whatever. He said, I won't say no. Or he said, I want to say
Cryptic.
no, or I won't say no, that he's...
Cryptic.
I mean, translate that for me as a football player. Like, give me a take, Luke. What does that mean?
I think there's probably just frustration in the locker room with how the last 2 games have gone and how they've lost the games.
DJ Moore lost a lot of games. I never heard him say anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, without really being there, you can't tell. So.
Okay. Let's move on to the Eagles. The Eagles, they sneak out a win against the Jags. Everybody's talking about Saquon. I'll just let you wax poetic on this insane, freakish play. Just crazy. I don't know how we saw the guy. What is this?
I'm not sure what to make of it. But the best part is when he, obviously that spin move's crazy. He jumps and then look how he finishes the play, falling forward. So he jumps over the guy going backwards. That spin move's ridiculous. Jumps over, gets hit, and then falls forward for another 2 yards. I don't know how his body control is unbelievable. And that's when the Giants drafted him early. That's what they were buying, is this athletic ability, this change of direction. He's second in the league in rushing yards, scrimmage yards. He's a big part of that offense, and it's interesting. These Penn State running backs have had a lot of success in that Sirianni offense. Miles Sanders was there, had a ton of success, very similar to Saquon. I think Saquon's just a more refined version, but he's special, and I'm sure that they are very excited to have him on the team.
Sirianni said it was the best play he's ever seen. I loved his demeanor in the post game talking about it. What's if you were to think and you were to put into like a frame, the most ridiculous, absurd, that kind of play you've ever seen, what is it?
Well, we had Cam for a long time. He had a play in Houston, the Super Bowl. It was against Houston at home, 2015 Super Bowl year, where it was right here. It was a draw play. And he just jumps over and then almost lands on his feet. And Cam that year, it was like a movie. So everything he did was exciting. He would jump over guys for no reason. This play right here, like just jump, you just put your shoulder down and fall forward for a touchdown. But he wants to jump over, he wants to flip, he wants to land on his feet. One of the other guys, all-time teammate, Jonathan Stewart. When him in that frame, to me, is exactly what Stu is a teammate, excited for everybody else making plays.
Yeah.
That's what that dude, I miss playing with him. He's an awesome guy. He's a great football player, but his excitement for when other guys made plays I thought was awesome.
I remember that year I was working very closely, like in New England. I was in the Boston market, and it was I think I remember that year very well. And there was some sort of MVP race between Brady and him. And I'm watching this as I'm not from Boston, so I'm in these newsrooms and everybody's just downplaying what Cam is doing because they're just so wired to love Brady and Brady's the best and how could there be any competition? And I would have to be the one are you guys seeing this? Everyone wanted to be blind to what Cam was doing. Of course, he ultimately won MVP, and it was just so funny to watch New England be no, he's not. It's Tom Brady. It's Tom, and I'm Tom Brady's not doing that. That play you just showed me, that's not happening. And it was amazing to watch this race that was never a race because Cam had it in the bag the entire time. Just an incredible player. Got it. Those highlights are that dance. I just loved. I miss that.
He
Just
was exciting. He was so fun that year.
He was a shot in the arm. Loved that. Okay, we're gonna take a short break here. We're gonna get to the smartest moment. We're gonna get to some midseason predictions with Luke after these. Okay. I think we have Devontae Adams on tomorrow. Hamilton. I think.
Yep.
Richard, is that true?
That's what it's looking like.
Is that true? Yay! Great. Oh yeah, Gronk is changing. We're gonna do Tuesday a Gronk day. What up?
I think you should schedule.
Big Tuesday.
I need you. I'm kidding. You got it. Thanks. Shanks. Ooh, Bengals Ravens Thursday night. Love that.
Man.
Steelers Commanders, a great game.
That's going to be awesome.
That's a great game. That is a great freaking game. Commanders got quite a schedule.
Yeah.
Vikings or Commanders? Who do you have more faith in? Hard question.
I think Commanders.
Yeah.
I think with the way Jaden's playing, with the way that defense just continues to get better.
Vikings? Why not Vikings?
They've had some weird games. Like they haven't been able to string together a full 60 minutes in a while, and I think that's my hesitation right now.
Packers. What happened?
And listen, you said a lot of sloppiness.
Yeah.
You have three snap issues in key moments.
Weird.
Jordan Love has had an interception in every game this year so far. He just
At least one, yeah.
He makes some big throws, forcing into some tight windows, but he's had one critical turnover in pretty much every game so far. So I think he's still trying to find, and again, he's a young quarterback, not a lot of starts under his belt. He's still trying to figure out, when to take those shots and when to make the safe play. And I think he'll get there.
When is San Francisco playing in bad weather, I wonder? Very excited about that. That narrative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I saw Purdy and Kittle and their wives were in Jackson Hole for their bye week, which I loved.
Oh, nice.
But now they're going to come back and let's see some rain. Let's see some rain for that Purdy. Broncos Chiefs will be interesting. Gosh, this is like when the season should start.
Yeah.
Right before Turkey. All right. Eagles, Cowboys, woof. All right, time for the weekly, geekly, not for the meekly, probably pretty geekly moment of genius. Luke Kuechly, future Hall of Famer. I need to know, I'm dying to know, what is the smartest thing you saw over the weekend? A moment, a call, a situation? What wins the moment of the week?
I think we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions again. They had a situation near the goal line, first touchdown drive of the game. I think Ben Johnson had a thought in his mind. He wanted to get the ball to St. Brown on this play, but they were a little bit too far out. So the play before, they draw them off sides. They get into, 4th and 2, and then they just say, hey, we're going to have a one-on-one matchup. We're going to put our number one player against your player. And then Jared Goff just throws a beautiful back shoulder ball. But I think to me, it really started on the play before where they were able to draw them off sides and get into a situation where this play call was able to be called. And I just think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fantastic receiver. I think he's got a great thing going with Jared Goff. And for him to put that back shoulder ball where it was is just a fantastic throw. And the trust to be able to do that when the weather is like it was yesterday just shows the confidence of Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown to get that play called.
They're now 7-3. I don't know that play that you just said put them up 7-3, and they sort of like never looked back. Is it their NFC and everybody else is just living in it?
I think so. I mean, they're pretty daggone good for them to go on the road. Like you guys already talked about it. This show, first game outside to play as well as they did, and then I think they have a stretch here come up where they have their next game outside isn't until Christmas time. So I think they're rolling right now. They've got pieces everywhere. Jameson Williams will be back, I think, this week or next week. So I know they're missing their edge rusher, but they're gonna be all right.
What should I be worried about with this Packers team? I sort of thought they could go all the way. I'm getting a little hesitant.
I think how healthy is Jordan Love? I think that's the real thing. He's He's been bagged up. Talking about him limping yesterday. Did he have a groin? He's throwing, you got to protect the football. I think that's the number one thing with him is how well do you protect the football? And then they got stuffed on a couple fourth downs there, and you got to convert those. But I wouldn't be concerned with this team. The only thing that's concerning about them is that they're in a division with Detroit, so they have to finish strong the rest of the year to get one of those wild card spots.
If we look at Jared Goff and his MVP odds, I mean, Love isn't really being talked about. He's not highlighted here. But if you look at the mid-season vibes here, we've got Josh Allen leading the way at plus 270. You got Lamar Jackson. You got a lot to choose from. I ask you midway through. Kevin Durant said it's Derrick Henry. Who would you pick as the MVP?
I'm gonna go Josh Allen, and I know Lamar's had a great year, but I think there's more on Josh's plate, and I think without Josh at the helm, they've got a hard time. And I just love this play by him right here. He knows he's gonna get hit right in the face, but he's gonna extend this play. He's gonna compete. I think he's like, I'm gonna score and run. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna throw it up and let my guy go make a play. And that's what I love about Josh Allen, and not to take anything away from anybody else, but his competitiveness, his toughness, his willing to do anything that he can to help that team win, I feel like is so Buffalo. Just tough, grit, loves football, he does it in a way that's not by the book, and I'm sure it drives Sean McDermott absolutely crazy, but he's done a great job protecting the football this year. I like the Bills. I'm a homer for the Bills. All my buddies are up there. So I'm gonna give Josh a nod right now at this point in the season.
When you talk to your buddies up there, is there a sense that things are just better than ever? Do they feel different than other years that we've said Josh Allen's going to do it? It's finally the year. Does anything feel different this year culturally when you talk to your friends up there?
I don't think so. I think more of it is we have to play well when it matters. So, I think with Buffalo, I think they're obviously the division is down this year. That's kind of been down for a couple years now. For them, the biggest hurdle is can we get to the postseason healthy? They've had Milano's been banged up, Bernard's been banged up. Can they get there healthy? And then when they do get there, can they go make the plays in big moments? I think that's the one thing that they want to. If you ask them and they're honest with you, I think that's how they would answer. When we get to the postseason, we have to step up. We have to create turnovers. We got to play well on defense, and we have to control the ball and win the turnover battle. I think that's kind of really when their season starts. No one's looking ahead, but they're a good football team. They're a playoff football team as long as Josh Allen's on that team. And for them, it's when the postseason comes up, are they able to capitalize and step up and make the plays when they need to?
Who would you say is coach of the year 9 weeks in?
I mean, I think that one's easy. I think Dan Quinn for
really?
what? Yeah, I mean, for ownership change, new GM. You drafted a rookie quarterback second overall. I think they're 3-14 or something last year, and now they're rolling. And when you watch teams play, I especially on the defensive side of the ball, how hard do they run to the football? How hard do they play? How important is it to them? Do they have joy when they're playing? I think Jaden Daniels is a big part of it, but I think a lot of it has to do with Adam Peters and certainly, obviously, Dan Quinn. That's the answer to the question. But I think he lets those guys play. I think he lets them be themselves. I think he empowers them to have fun. And when you watch them play and the success that they've had this year, I think a lot of that has to do with the culture and the mindset that Dan Quinn has brought there.
It's a great answer because it's less about, and obviously it's a great storyline too. They haven't had a winning season since 2016. And he's leading them to that right now. And there's that and there's good pieces, but it's how much joy do you have running
just
to the
fun.
ball
Football
on
should
the
be
defensive
fun.
side. And that's all leadership.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was watching the Panthers played Denver last week, and I was watching some stuff leading up to it, and that defense with Vance Joseph, they are running to the football. When you pause the tape at the end of the play and you count dudes around the ball, it's like 10, 11, 10, and they're all close in. I don't know. I think that's kind of a nerd thing, but
no, it's not. It's like a thing I don't watch for that.
Yeah.
I don't watch
How
for that.
hard do you run to the ball? And when you know you're not going to make the tackle, how hard do you run to the ball? Because to me, it shows this is Vance Joseph from the top down, but it shows how important is it to show the other guys on your team that it matters to you. Like, it shows how important that play is to you.
Got it. I'm just thinking, yeah. That's a great way to put good leadership. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very
in
interesting.
defense, it's easy to measure.
So interesting. So interesting. And then you see the teams that aren't doing it. I know I'm not going to get those out of you, but the teams that are taking plays off or not, they have no why, I guess, no motivation, no, like, I don't even know. I don't know how do you call it, like when you know it's not a great coach, it's just lacking. It's so interesting. It's how I'm going to look at things from now on. Great call by you. Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, heavy favorite. Is it anybody but T.J. Watt? And if it was somebody else, who's going to take that?
So I think T.J. Watt's always in there. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it again. I'm going to go with the guy that's not on the list. I think he's just been fun to watch. Xavier McKinney's got 6 picks this year for the Packers, and there hasn't been a safety to win it since 2010 with Troy Polamalu. So guys that turn the football over to me at a rate that he's doing it deserve a little recognition. I know if TJ wins it, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. He 100% deserves it, but spice it up a little bit. Xavier McKinney with the Packers has had a fantastic start to the season, and safeties don't get enough love sometimes.
Love that. Okay, let's hit. Well, hold on. Are your kids in the playoffs still?
No, no playoffs. No playoffs for us. We finished our season. What? No. Nope.
Were those kids running to the ball after a play? What's going on there, Coach?
They better
what
be
happened?
running to the ball. No playoffs. We don't have playoffs in our.
Oh, I thought they didn't make the playoffs.
Oh no. We were on a burner. We were getting hot there at the end of the year.
I was told some bad information then, because I was told that you guys made it to the playoffs, and I was supposed to congratulate you. Clearly, I was wrong.
That might have been my fault. Miscommunication.
No, I literally heard it from like a fan. Messaged me about it, and I clearly I was wrong about that. Well, good, you've got some extra time on your hands for Hunch Time, which is right here.
That's
Monday
right.
night action, Bucks Chiefs. The game's at Arrowhead. Here are our hunches with 500 plus props on FanDuel. We weeded through them, and Hamilton's teeing them up. Go for it.
Okay, we're going to start with you.
Oh, boy.
Travis Kelce's been heating up. His line for tonight is 60.5 receiving yards. So what's your hunch? Does he go over or under that?
Over. He crushed it against the Raiders last week at 90 yards. I feel like this Bucs defense, they're allowing yards, okay? And I always like to look at, like, I go to this thing called FF Today, and I look at the splits and how many points and yards and stuff are being coughed up to the tight end spot, and they're top 5 in that. He's going to keep it rolling. I'm smashing the over.
All right, Luke, it's your turn. Baker's leading the league with 21 touchdown passes going into tonight before he even plays this game. His line is set for 1.5 touchdown passes. So what's your hunch? Does he go over that or under with this banged up receiving core?
You know what? Baker, they've lost 2 in a row. He's going to be at Arrowhead at night. I'm going to take the over, just the competitive person.
Okay.
In Baker, I think he's pissed right now. I think he's edgy. I think he's been stewing all week. He's going to be sitting around all day today hearing about the Spagnuolo defense and Chris Jones and how good they are, and I think he's going to sling it tonight.
Okay, let's go. I love that.
Well, all right, Kay. What's your hunch? One anytime touchdown scorer from either side in this game. Just got to pick one guy that finds the end zone.
Do I double down on Kelce at plus 120? Listen, I've picked Worthy a lot in this part of the world when we've talked about the Chiefs, and he has not paid off for me with the touchdowns. I'm going to go DeAndre Hopkins. Big target. He's got another week of getting up to speed with this Mahomes character. Buck secondary, like I said, they are just giving up points and touchdowns and all sorts of things. So I feel like this is a red zone weapon. It makes sense. Please give him the ball. Please let D-Hop score.
All right, Luke, last one for you. The Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites in this one. Do they cover that, or do the Bucks keep it close, or maybe even pull off the upset? What's your hunch there?
Oh man, as much as I was just gassing Baker up, I think the Bucks cover, but the Chiefs have just been finding ways to win games this year. They're at home at Arrowhead. They're starting to play better on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that Mahomes is going to outduel old Baker Mayfield, and they're going to win. But I think that the Buccaneers come out, play well, and cover. 9.5 points is a lot.
Are they gonna lose this year?
I don't know. Maybe. I think they drop one. I think they drop at least one.
I don't know.
It's hard to go undefeated.
I don't know who they're losing to. I'm looking right here. If we're not, I mean, tonight sounds like a prime spot for them to have a. Oh, hold on, November 24th, Chiefs Panthers. Let's effing go. Let's effing go. It's at Panthers. I love that. Love that. All right, Kuechly, we appreciate it so much. Thanks for making us smarter. You are the absolute best, and congrats on the Panthers win.
Thank you.
Sorry about your kids not going to the playoffs because there is no playoffs. Okay, we'll be back after this to break down more games. Okay. Okay, let's see. What was the DJ Moore thing? I probably shouldn't have brought that up without knowing what it was. Not really fair, because I didn't listen to it or his tone or anything. I don't usually do that. What was it?
Yeah, so DJ said he was on the radio this morning. They asked if Eberflus has lost the team, and he said, "I want to say no." I feel like that was a very non-committal answer. Yeah.
Why did you want to talk about the defensive play more than just the offense looking like shit?
I think it was. I mean, it was symptomatic of the. Yeah, like that. That's where the game totally turned, and it was a worse lapse. I think even in the hell to give up a 50-yard run with 4 seconds left is almost unthinkable.
You liked what he said about that?
Yeah.
You did? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. Who's in more commercials, Travis Kelce or Jennifer Garner? Jennifer Garner is in every commercial, close call. Close call. Get that bag.
A lot of Jennifer Garner. Yeah.
Bears in trouble. Oh.
Yeah, I liked his answer on that because he talked about like the mental, like that stuff is starting to seep in now. You give up the Hail Mary, then you give up that. Like there's,
I think it's interesting, like the effects of a Hail Mary a week later on both sides. I don't know. I feel like when we have a big win on the show 2 weeks ago, it didn't, we're not still high off of it. You think that like carries over weeks later after so much happens in a day? I don't know.
And that's where, that's where coaching comes
would think on, yeah,
to
I
the
think
equation.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Because the bad, especially the bad can carry over with teams. And I've had that experience this season for sure.
No,
the high school level.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I would just equate everything to our show and how like things translate. And everybody can do that out there that like works in a place or has a family or like anything. It's just interesting. So, no, let's manifest this thing. You're going to score against the Bears, my Chicago Bears. Take it easy. What is the celebration? Let's visualize this thing.
That I need something, to really let them know I scored my first touchdown.
Extra offensive lineman, Heck. First and goal. They get the tight end. McBride looking for the angle. Touchdown, Cardinals.
You're welcome, 85. You're welcome. We love manifesting here on the show. From the ball hawks, the touchdown scores. He hadn't had one all season. One of the best tight ends in the business right now. So congrats to Trey, to the Cardinals. They beat the Bears. I said take it easy on him. He did not do that. Oh my gosh. And do they just run away with the West now? Are they, he wants to be the underdog here. I don't know if that's possible with them. Do they run away with it? They've got a date with the Jets. In week 10. The Jets, who are 3-6, hopefully we'll have Davante Adams on the show tomorrow to break down all of the happiness he posted about being in New York. That means he's feeling it, he's vibing, so can't wait to have Adams back on the program. Let's tackle some other games. Oh, you guys want to talk about Raiders-Bengals, I see? Let's do it. They dismantled the Raiders. They get their first, thank God, home win of the season. Kevin Durant, literally, I told him they were 0-4 at home, and he said, that's nasty. That is nasty. That's what he said. He didn't know that. It's insane. And then finally, like, we string together what I believe is the best performance out of the Bengals yet. They just start slow. I don't get it, but outside of the sort of wonky, weird pick six, Burrow was almost perfect on the day, even without T. Higgins, okay? 5 touchdown passes. We got T. Higgins' mom saying, great win by them, by the way, after. Gesicki, that's, 20 on the year, okay, for Burrow. Biggest development, though, was the run game. Let's go, Zach Moss. He's inactive, so he's cheering on his guy, Chase Brown, who had a breakout game. There's, there was supposed to be the zig and the zag, the helping out, but here, this was Brown's world. We are just living in it, 120 on the ground. 37 through the air. He caught a touchdown, which is nice to see. This has not been a good running attack, okay? Bottom 5 in the league. And then all of a sudden, he turned it on. Should he just have it the whole time? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think about it, but I loved seeing it, needed to see it. Even against the Raiders, which, poor Raiders. Just poor Raiders. We're not going to get into that. Everyone's celebrating. Everyone's happy. 5 touchdowns. You'd be like, oh, this is incredible. And then all the shots of Burrow were unhappy. He was prickly. He did not seem satisfied. Let's take a listen to him.
I'm not just going to ignore the bad and dwell on the great that we did today. I don't think that's a recipe for improvement. I don't think that's a recipe for getting better. I'm going to be hard on myself. I'm going to be hard on us to execute the way that I feel like we need to execute. And I feel like we didn't put ourselves in great positions in times of that game to finish it off the right way. We ended up doing it. Defense came up big, but, I think we could have done better.
I'm glad he's like this. I love that he's like this. With that win and the Broncos loss, the Bengals are a game back of Denver for the final wild card spot. Let's go. Favored to get into the postseason at -104 on FanDuel. So very much alive. They got a huge one. Short week. Keep that energy, Joe. Be pissed. I love when you're prickly. I love that you're not satisfied. You're not taking victory laps against the Raiders. You got bigger fish to fry, including that defense of the Ravens. Short week. We'll be back tomorrow. Davante Adams and Gronk supposed to be on the show. Hope they don't cancel.